What time do we have until? And also, let's argue about Motzei Yom Kippur.
One second, Yaakov, can I get a quick shayla in before we start?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, I have one of the tents by the women's side is a little bit weaker than the other ones, and it sags. I'm worried when it rains.
It should drink shiurim. It should drink shiurim.
Different shayla, Yaakov. Hold on a minute. Different shayla. It's when it gets water in it, it sags.
Press 3, Yaakov.
Yeah. Anyways, what are you saying?
When it rains, I have to go pop up the roof.
Naftali, you don't need a tent for Yom Kippur. Go ahead.
A what?
You don't need a tent for Yom Kippur.
No, I would like to ask you. I see you're home now by your mother.
Okay, I'm by my home. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Aaron. Yes, to the tent.
Okay. If the ground is already wet, can I flip up the water off the roof so it doesn't fall in?
Wet from what?
From rain. If it's going to rain overnight, in the morning I come out if it's sagging down.
If it's very wet.
If the ground is very wet, I could do it?
If it's very wet, yes. But it's not going to rain, so you'll be all right.
It's not going to rain?
That's what my app says.
What do you mean? My app says it's supposed to rain tonight.
My app I paid $4 for.
What does that mean? Jack, did you start drinking early today? What's going on with you?
I'm just saying. It's
not supposed to rain at like 12 o'clock tonight?
It says
mine doesn't say rain.
Mine says 50%.
You have to understand. There's a history. Tiago loves this app. There's one app that he loves. There's a history here. It's usually right. Usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So bottom line.
If it's it has to be very wet. Otherwise, what you should do is put down a tablecloth on the floor.
Right.
And turn the table over onto the tablecloth. Then if it rolls off the tablecloth onto the grass, that's not your problem.
But it's coming from the roof. I mean, I want to push up the
whatever. Put the tablecloth on wherever the water is going to land. If it lands on the tablecloth and it runs off the tablecloth onto the ground, that's fine.
Okay, and the same thing would apply to chairs, flipping them over in the morning if they have water on them?
Same thing, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. So what time what's a Yom Tov? A quarter? What time?
Are we doing it? You're not doing your kumsitz?
That doesn't happen till later.
Okay, so you tell us what time.
Can I ask a question? What is a PU upper? What is that? People keep asking me on a shoe. PU. What is PU?
Picker upper?
No, on a shoe. A P, a letter P, the letter U, upper. What does that stand for?
Polyurethane upper?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's Yaakov, a plastic upper.
Then why would it say upper twice? Let me look it up.
Is it men's shoes or women's shoes? They're asking.
Yaakov, Yaakov, 1 second here. PU leather is a type of fought leather.
Polyurethane leather. Polyurethane leather. It's an artificial leather.
Polyurethane leather, yeah.
Yeah. So the upper is not, that says leather upper. So it says instead of the leather upper, it's polyurethane upper.
I hear. Okay, good.
Thank you, Google.
Aaron, who said the word polyurethane before Google?
You did, right. You did, Aaron, you did.
Aaron, are you Mr. Google?
Maybe Taka. I think that
they couldn't sell me. They needed a sexy Siri or Alexa. They couldn't sell me.
He's the original Cha-Cha.
Aaron, now you have to tell them a story that you didn't buy Google when it first came out because you thought it would never take off.
I hear. Okay, so let's go. So we still don't have a time. Figure out.
The same way my Zayd didn't buy Wright Brothers stock. It wasn't going to take off.
Okay.
But I'm pumped.
Figure about 9 o'clock. How about 9 o'clock for the Daf?
I saw in Yeshiva, they're not blowing the shofar until 8:14, Yaakov. That's super religious over there.
No, they're not blowing. No, they better not wait that long.
It says 8:14 on the thing.
The shofar, or
it says let's say the fast ends 8:14.
Yeah, that means you're done with Mara. That means you're done with Mara.
Hopefully they'll be done with Mara, but I hope. Or at least
if not, Rabbi Stein, there's always room for you by the Young Israel.
There you go.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Plenty
okay, so let's go.
room over there.
That didn't go. Okay. Sandal and Masuma. Yeah, not with right. Oh, not a sandal, I'm assuming.
Hobnail sandals.
What are hobnailed sandals? Like, yeah, meaning a sandal. So the Olam knows the story, hopefully from Gemara. Is it Gemara? What was it Shabbos? eruv? That they asked wearing sandals with nails in it on Shabbos because they were once hiding in the cave from the
brachas and the cleats.
Was brachas.
I think it was.
And they heard noise. They heard noise, and they ended up trampling themselves, and that happened on a Shabbos. Yeah. So can I ask you guys a question? The whole day you sit in the kitchen talking, and now you have to sit in here, Yosef? The whole day you're sitting in the kitchen. Now you have to come in here.
It says Shabbos 6.
Yaakov, something tells me your chicken is going to be burned.
That's not. I'm talking to my nephew.
Oh.
All right.
He was talking to a Yosef, not a Josephine. He was talking to a Yosef.
Anyway, so Sandal Masumah, my time alloy. Why can't you do a Sandal on Masumah? Mishum Ma'aseh Shaya, because of the Ma'aseh Shaya. So that's why you're not allowed to send as a present. So Amar Abaya, Sandal Masumah also lanale umutter l'taltaloi. A Sandal Masumah, you're also to put it on, but it's mutter to move it. Also lanale Mishum Ma'aseh Shaya. You're not allowed to wear it because of the Ma'aseh Shaya. Umutter l'taltaloi, meaning it's not muksa. Midiktani ein meshalchin. It says that you're not allowed to send it. Now, if it was muksa, why are you saying you're not allowed to send it? You can't even move it. So this that it's saying that you can't send it must be that you're allowed to move it. Because if you're going to think that it's also to move it, if it's also to move it, to send it, do we need to say that? Of course, it's pashut that it's not muksa. Now, what does it mean? Why is it not muksa? If you're not allowed to wear it on Shabbos, why taka is it not muksa? So Rashi says, because it's a kli. So what it means is that it's a kli, so therefore it's a kli shemalach l'isser. So really it is muksa, but you can move it if you have a need. If you need the place or you need the shoe for whatever it is. Let's say you need the shoe to break open some walnuts. So that would be mutter. That would be mutter to use the shoe for that. Fine. V'loy middle sheina tougher. You can't do it with a shoe that's not sewn. Pshita, kashet. It's pasha that if the shoe is not sewn, it's an unsewn shoe. Right, that's in Yonah Diyama. Yeah, so it's pasha. You can't send it on Yom Tov. What are you going to do with it? Even though there's these pegs in it that theoretically you can use it, then you're still not allowed to send it because it's not a proper shoe. You can't even send a white shoe. Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter to send a black shoe, and it's also with a white shoe. Because you need to use some sort of dirt, right? A clump of dirt, right? Anything that's thick is called a bitzas, and you need to use a clump of dirt in order to make it black, and that you can't do that on Yom Tov. He says it's also because you need to polish it, right? Well, that's really what tzatzeh really means, to polish it. But Rashi says it means to smooth it out, since it needs to be smoothed out, so it's not usable on Yom Tov. But loy pligi, and they're not having a machlokes. Marki Asrei or Marki Asrei. Each one's talking about their own town. Basei demar bisra l'tachas. In one place, the basar side of it is on the bottom of the shoe. Asrei demar bisra l'el, it's on the top. Right, so it depends on where you're putting the skin, where the skin part is going on the shoe. So that's whether it needs to be smoothed out or you need to color it. Fine. The rule is, and anything that you can benefit from on Yom Tif, so you're allowed to send it out. Rav Sheshes even allowed people to send tefillin on Yom Tif. Right? Why? So we said that the only thing that you can use on Yom Tif, right? Only things that you can use on Yom Tif, not Mordechai. It's like yeah. So I left my mother's house to come here for quiet.
We got to get you a sign on a tennis racket that you can just pick up.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So we said only thing that you can use on Yom Tif you're allowed to send. Now tefillin you're not allowed to use on Yom Tif. This is what it means to say. Anything that you use during the week, you're allowed to send on Yom Tov, which makes a big difference in the halacha. Right? If with the way we understood the Mishnah, it's only something you could actually use on Yom Tov. Are you allowed to send on Yom Tov? And now we're saying no. Even as long as it's something that's usable, then you're allowed to do a present on Yom Tov, which is the way we paskin. So you're allowed to bring presents on Yom Tov.
Not Shabbos.
Right? Shabbos you're not allowed to because it's a gezeira mekach u'memka.
But only if they're going to use it, though.
Only what?
Only if they're going to use it on Shabbos.
Only if, on Shabbos, if they use it, it's fine. But on Yom
Tov, it doesn't have to be used.
Correct. It could even be tefillin. Right?
You see, Yaakov, the first Mishnah said 3 people couldn't carry something because it looks like they're going to do business.
Right.
And the second Mishnah said they could do pieces of clothing, which is mamish business because they bring clothing to ladies' houses to sew up. That's what they did. They come on to the afternoon and to 10 houses, give the lady each lady 25 pieces of clothing, and they start what's a Yom Tov. That's mamish business. And the first Mishnah doesn't like to do an appearance of business. Second Mishnah doesn't do business.
Right, but then you can only do it if it's multiple people, right? I mean, you can't do it if it's multiple people.
It's not multiple people. The foreman.
No. What?
The foreman of a factory has 500 pieces, 500 dresses in his house that he brought home before Yom Tov. Yom Tov afternoon, he goes and drops off by 10 ladies, 50 dresses each. The Mishnah says it's good. It's stuff that has to be fixed. The Mishnah says it's good.
Yeah, but if it's a present, but not for sale.
Not a present. It doesn't say it's a present. The second Mishnah doesn't say it's a present.
I'm assuming it means a present. You could do it for money.
Turfin and Ben Shane and Turfin. What kind of present is that? That's not a present.
I don't know. I understood it all as a present, but I don't know. Maybe you're saying that it's okay. So whatever it is, but as long as you can benefit from even tefillin. So there's an interesting Rashi here, where Rashi says that Lamaisa, if you want to wear tefillin on Shabbos, you're allowed to. Lamaisa, that's what Rashi says. It's not also to wear tefillin. You don't have to wear tefillin, but it's allowed.
Excuse me, where are you holding?
We are we're about 10 lines from the end of the daf on Amud Aleph.
Isn't it muksa? Oh, isn't it muksa?
No, that's what Rashi's saying. That's what Rashi's saying. Not muksa, because you could wear it. You could wear tefillin on Yom Tov if you so choose. You just don't have to. Right?
So how come I remember a few years ago I had a talus issue? I didn't have my talus, and it was problems getting it from my weekday talus out of my tefillin bag.
I don't know. There shouldn't be any.
Is that the way we?
Because you have mirrors in there and electronic measurings to make sure it's in between your eyes. That's why.
Yeah, I don't have okay.
What are you saying, David?
So that's the way we paskin. If we want to wear tefillin on Yom Tov, we can.
Me'ikar adin, yeah. Me'ikar adin, yes.
You could even wear tefillin on Shabbos.
I don't think it means for davening. I think for davening would be wrong, just like it's wrong to wear it for halal. But if you just wanted to put on tefillin on Yom Tov afternoon,
you could wear tefillin on Shabbos also.
Shabbos too. Yeah.
Some 12-year-old boys did.
That's right. So Omer Abaye, yeah. Tefillin, hayova asul liyadon, nebehu milsa. Since we already were discussing tefillin, let's say something about tefillin. Hayababa derech tefillin b'roisha. Somebody's coming in the way, and he's wearing tefillin b'shakol of chama, and then the sun sets, and now it became Shabbos. He's got tefillin on. So maniach yodei aleim. He puts his hand on them, right? So, and the reason is Rashi says so people shouldn't see him, right? That's one case. Or if he's sitting in the base medrash and he has tefillin on his head, and it became Shabbos, and he puts it on his head until he reaches his house, right? Masav Rav Huna, right? The Rav Ika, hayubaba derech with tefillin b'roisha. Somebody's coming and needs tefillin in his hand, but kiddush and it became Shabbos. Meniach yodei aleim achemigid lebayis asamach lechayma. He puts his hand in them until he gets to a house that's close to the wall, right? Meaning he can go. The point is that he can only go to the first house possible. He can't go to his home. The first price said he can go to his home, right? Second price says he only go to the first house. So which one could he do? Only to the closest house to the Beis Medrash. So which one is it? So my answer is like kasha. One is talking about where the house that he would put it in, if it's close to the shul, or the closest house to the wall of the city is where it's a protected house. But if it's not a protected house, then he would be able to either carry it with a shinui or just leave it on until he gets to his house. So Gemara says, so if it's in a place that it's not watched, so what does it have to do with his head? Even if it's in the ground. Because we learn that somebody finds tefillin, you bring it in one pair at a time. And if you see tefillin on the ground on Shabbos, what do? You put on the tefillin and you walk with it to wherever it's protected. So what do you have to say? If the case is talking about we're afraid he's going to lose it or it's going to get ruined, so what do you have to say that he's wearing it already? Just say even if it's on the ground. My answer is like kasha hot minter machlas ganvi or machlas kalbi. One is talking about where it's watched from ganovim and dogs. Hot minter machlas kalbi. The loy minter machlas ganvi. One is talking about where the dogs won't get to it, but it's not. But ganovim, we're afraid that ganovim will get to it. Mao the same. A roiv listim Yisrael ninu. You would think. Now, I don't know what this havamina is, right? You would think that the majority of crooks are yidden, right? And they won't ruin the tefillin, meaning they're crooks, but they won't ruin tefillin. Kamash Malon, that you don't think that they won't ruin the tefillin, and therefore you carry the tefillin all the way through. You have to do it. Now Rashi said, yeah.
Sorry, so there should be a right that you don't go bus a roiv of the oilam, a roiv of the state, or because roiv of the world we know is not Yidden. Roiv of the country, it's just what this town is. The roiv of the people are Yidden.
Right. So you have to say that the pshat is that it's the roiv of the town. What Rabban is saying is that the pshat in this is that it's not that roiv ganovim are Yidden. Right. Since the town is roiv Yidden, so the assumption is that those that are stealing are Yidden. Right. So you want to say that this is a raya that you'll only go with a cheshbon.
Well, whatever local means, however that would be defined.
Well, that's the question. How far do you draw the line?
Okay, but obviously not the whole world and not the whole country.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. All right. Hadran aloch Beitza Shanolda.
Rabbeinu Chananel changes it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Chaim. Okay.
The last line of Rabbeinu Chananel looks like he changes the Gemara a little bit.
The last line I didn't notice Rabbeinu Chananel.
He ignores the whole Yisrael. It looks like he learns that it's stam. Any ganaf is only going to take something that's valuable. Why would he be muzalzel with something that's valuable?
I hear. Interesting. All right, that's a good deal. I hear that. Okay, very good. So let's see the next Perek. Now this Perek is all about eruv tavshilin, which is not Negeya this year. All right. So Zog the Mishna. Yom Tov shechali is erev Shabbos. Yom Tov falls out on erev Shabbos. Right. So Yom Tov falls out on a Friday. Lo yivashel betchilim mi Yom Tov l'Shabbos. You're not allowed to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos. Al mivashel hu Yom Tov, but you can cook for Yom Tov. Bim haiser l'Shabbos. And if there's leftover food, then you use it for Shabbos.
Why wouldn't you be able to use something that's left over?
Huh?
Throw it out? So what's the
No, it doesn't mean that it's asa. Doesn't mean. Naftali's asking why can't you use leftovers? Well, I'm understanding it that it's if they say you're not allowed to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos, even if it's leftover, you're not allowed to. Right? Okay, we'll see how it works with the haram and we're doing shtick. So that's the first thing. You're not allowed to cook from Shabbos to Yom Tov. What you do is you make a cooked food on erev Yom Tov and you rely on that for Shabbos, which is what we call eruv tavshilin. That's you take the food, you start the cooking on erev Shabbos, and everything is considered an extension. So B'Shama tavshilin. B'Shama says it needs to be two cooked.
You cannot use leftovers. Where does it say that in the Mishnah?
No, he's saying you could lose that. He says you could use leftovers. Naftali's just wondering what the havamid is. Why shouldn't you be able to use leftovers? That's what he's saying.
The case is where the guy cooked 3 briskets and he only needed 1 for Yontif, and he knew that. That's the case. That's the havamid. He can't use the other 2 briskets on Shabbos. That's the case.
I mean,
that's the havamid. It says you lo yivashel betchila miyomtif l'Shabbos.
Means so that's a harama is the havamid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, very good. So va'isa tavshil me'erev yontif v'samech l'Shabbos. You make the tavshil erev yontif. You rely on it for Shabbos. Beishama yom shnei tavshilin. Beishama says you need 2 cooked foods in order to do this. 1 is not enough. Then you have to cook. You cook 1, right? And they agree that a fish with the eggs on top of it is 2 tavshilin, right? Because that's you put the eggs with the fish, and that's the eggs is 1 tavshil and the fish is another tavshil, which is not really that they agree. Meaning Beis Shammai, it's equal. Meaning Beis Hillel doesn't need 2 foods. Beis Shammai would agree that that's considered, even though it's 1 food, it's really considered 2 foods. If you lost the eruv tavshilin or got eaten, lo yivashel b'tchila, you should not use it, right, for Shabbos. Meaning, if somebody decides to help themselves to the egg and to the matzah, then don't do it. Then you can't use it. But if there's a little bit left over, then you're allowed to use the eruv tavshilin. So Gemara says, how do we know that there's such a concept of eruv tavshilin? So Amar Shmuel, Amar Kros, Zocher is Yom Shabbos l'Kadshei, right? Remember Shabbos to be mekadosh it. Zachreu me'achar shebala ashkifa. Remember it because you may come to forget it. Meaning you're going to get so involved in when Yom Tov's on a Friday, you may get so involved in the Yom Tov, you may forget about the covered Shabbos. So therefore, by making an eruv tavshilin, it's going to cause you to remember Shabbos. My timer. So what's the reason? So So Rava says the reason is that you should know that you should have your Yom Tov food and you should have your Shabbos food. He says in order that you should say that ein oifen miyom tov l'Shabbos, kal v'chomer yom tov l'chol. Meaning we want people to say, well, if I'm not allowed to bake from Yom Tov to Shabbos, then a kal v'chomer that I'm not allowed to bake from Yom Tov to the weekday. Right, so people will learn that there's an Isser Hachana to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos. That's an easy way of letting people know this. So when I asked Tana, and we learned in our Mishna, if you made a cooked food on erev Yom Tov, and you're relying on it for Shabbos, right? You can't make an erev tavshilin on Yom Tov. You have to make an erev Yom Tov. So according to Rav Ashi, it makes sense because you want the people to remember that it's to know that they're not allowed to cook from Shabbos to weekday. Why can't you make, according to Rava, that the whole thing is that you should have chashivas for Shabbos, and you should have a separate mana, a separate portion for Shabbos. So why can't you make an eruv on Yom Tov, right? And that's going to remind you to have a separate food for Shabbos. So Gemara says, really, it's true. According to Rava, you should be able to make an eruv tavshilin on Yom Tov. There's a gezerah, perhaps you're going to end up forgetting to do it, and then you're going to have nothing for Shabbos. The Tana and the Tana actually brings it from it's going to be a pasuk that we could be simon that where the eruv tavshilin come from. It says as a sher taifu eifu as a sher tavashelu bashelu, right? So when Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden to make hachanas for Shabbos, so he said whatever you're going to bake on Shabbos on Friday, and what you're going to cook. Right? That's when Moshe is telling the Yidden that they're not allowed to cook on Shabbos. You only bake based on something baked, meaning you need to have a baked food in order to be able to bake from Yom Tov to Shabbos. And you can't cook only on cooked food. And from here, that's how we know that it's again the eruv tavshilin is not mamash from the Torah, but there's a hint to it from the Torah. And also we see from it that that's why you need, it's a proof that you need 2 foods, which we'll see later on in the next couple of blocks, that you need a baked food in order to bake for Yom Tov to Shabbos, you need a cooked food in order to cook for Yom Tov to Shabbos. Yeah, okay, so that's the harder part of the daf. from here it's I got it to, and it's some of it actually is in Yonah the Yom. So Torah Rabbanan. He was darshaning the whole day in Hilchos Yom Tov. Yotzes on Yom Tov. Right? Yotzes Chat Rishona. Then one pair left. Amru Halalu Bale Pitzin. These are Bale Pitzin, which is some sort of, these are barrels, meaning they own a lot of wine, so therefore they have to leave early in order to give into their desires for wine. Kachnia, Amru Halalu Bale Chavias. They own barrels. They're not as big as the previous guys, so they don't need as much time. They were able to stay learning for a little bit longer. Kachlishis, Amru Halalu Bale Kadin. They own jugs. Kat Revius, Amar Alalu Bali Laginin. They're also types of Laginin, I think, is a flask, yeah. Kat Chamishis, Amar Alalu Bali Kaisis. They only own cups. Hilu Kat Shishis Lotzes.
Well, it's justice, so what do they have to go do? What does the business have to do with anything?
There's no business. It's not like that's how much they have to drink.
Oh, big drinker, a small drinker?
Yeah.
Oh, Perek is right there.
There's Chilu Kat Shishis Lotzes. When the sixth group went up to leave, Amar Alalu Bali Me'era. These are people that are Me'era means they're cursed. Not, it doesn't. I mean, I guess Me'era really means cursed, right? But they're saying that it's a bad thing. Yeah. So Nasaneina b'talmidim, and he put his eyes on the talmidim. So the talmidim, their faces started changing. They got scared because they thought that Rabbi Elazar is screaming at them, even though they're the ones that left in the Besmerish. I'm not saying it, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about these people that left. They're leaving this world, meaning the next world things, meaning Torah is going to be everlasting. And they're being in temporary things. So when they left, he said to them, now this is the pasuk. This is the pasuk in Nehemiah, right, where that's talking about what you should do on Rosh Hashanah. Right, lechu ichlu mashmanim, go eat fatty foods. Sumam takim, drink sweet foods. Shilchu manos la'ein nachala, and give shalach manos to people that don't have. Ki kadosh hayom la'adeinenu, because Rosh Hashanah is kadosh for Hashem. Va'atayatzu, don't be sad. Ki chedvas Hashem hi meuschem. Right, because the joy of Hashem is going to be is going to strengthen you, right? Meaning you're davening to Hashem, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Noraim, there's nothing to be nervous about. So Amar Mar, what is he saying? Amar Mar, so Mar said that he was upset at them because they were leaving this eternal, which is Torah, to be Isaac in temporary of this world. So the Gemara asked about Simchas Yom Tov mitzvah. What do you mean? It's a mitzvah to be Simchas Yom Tov. You're supposed to leave the shul. You're supposed to stop learning in order to have Simchas Yom Tov. So our answer is Rabbi Elazar l'tamei damar Simchas Yom Tov rishus. Rabbi Elazar held Simchas Yom Tov is only a rishus, not a chiyuv. The Tani Rabbi Elazar Aimer ein lo l'adam b'Yom Tov ela oyoicha v'shaisa oyoisha v'shoyim. You got two options on Yom Tov according to Rabbi Elazar. Either
we don't give shalach manos on Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah,
we don't. But there are those that say you should. There's some sort of Indian to do it. I don't know exactly how you do it, but yeah, that there are those that say that you should. Yeah, but anyway, so Rabbi Eliezer is saying that it's either all or nothing. Either you eat and drink a whole Yom Tov, or you sit and learn.
you can't do both.
And obviously, no, he holds you don't do both. So obviously, he holds that, and obviously, the sitting and learning is better. What?
Where does he get it from? Where does he get it from?
Where does he get that?
It's all for the whole davening or whole eating. Where is that from?
What is about to say?
What?
What is about to say?
Yeah, so one second. So it says, and you split it up, which is the way we paskin. You got to do half to Hashem and half to you. 1 second. They both dash in the same pasuk. It says it's Yom Tov for Hashem. It says it should be a Yom Tov for you. So which one is it? Is it a Yom Tov for Hashem? Or is it a Yom Tov for you? Okay, it's It's either all for Hashem or all for you. So they'll do half for you and half for Hashem.
So Gemara with this, which Shavuos is Kula Hashem?
Shavuos, everybody's
That's a
minded.
different
Shavuos
Gemara?
need, yes, that's a different Gemara, right? Shavuos, everybody's minded that you need to have lachem.
But he's picking one of the two psukim. He's saying the other one is wrong. How can you do that?
No, meaning you have the choice. You have a choice. Either you can
Oh,
make
okay.
your Yom Tov Tashem, or you can make Yom Tov to what do you call it? To yourself. Now the Chassam Sofer actually turns it on its head. He says which one is Chetzi Lashem, which one is Chetzi Lachem. So typically Chetzi Lashem is to learn, and Chetzi Lachem is for you to eat. Chassam Sofer says the other way around. No, eating is Lashem. You need to eat because Hashem made it that you have to eat in order to survive, right? And Chetzi Lachem is for you, Pasha, to enjoy the Torah, right? That's the way the Chassam Sofer said it. Agav, on that same note, I saw him Shemazam and Avrach says the Torah would never want anybody to be mitzayir. All the Tanaisim, the Rabbanans for mourning, the Torah would never want anybody to be mitzayir, cause themselves pain. The one day the Torah did it is for the Kaparas Yom Kippur, but the Torah made it the day before that Adarav, it's a mitzvah to eat the mitzvah all day, and then it's the equivalent of fasting the next day. So, yeah, the Torah is not looking for anybody to be mitzayir. Okay, so my le'ein nochen loy. What does it mean send manas to somebody who doesn't? It's not literally means it's not clear to them, meaning they don't have. What it means is somebody who forgot to do the eruv tavshilin. So if somebody forgot to do the eruv tavshilin, so send him food so that he'll be able to eat. Right? But meaning it's only somebody who didn't have the ability to make an eruv tavshilin. If somebody did have the ability to make an eruv tavshilin and he didn't do it, then he's a pesheya and you don't have to send him food.
But don't you have the rabbi thing?
We're going to get to that. And what does it mean that the joy of Hashem should strengthen you? Borrow from me and make the Yidei Kaddish. I mean, V'aminu bi, and believe in me. V'ani Pereya and V'ani Pereya. I'm sorry, not any Pereya. V'ani Pereya, and I'm going to pay.
All of the daf, yeah.
Correct, very good. But this is a major Gemara right here. We have this conversation all the time, right? That Hashem says, borrow on me and believe in me to make Yom Tov Kaddish, and I'm going to pay you back. If you want to, the Gemara just goes off for a minute here. So if you want your belongings to last, Yita behen adar, you should plant them into an adar tree or an eder tree. Eder, however you pronounce it. Shenemar adir b'amaroim Hashem, another song. Right? Hashem is strong in the heavens. Inami, Adra Kishmei. Adra is the way its name is. Kadamri Inchi, like people say, my Adra the Kaimel Dari Daran, that it lasts for many generations.
Or so it's giving you a way to put a bank instead of a bank?
He's saying instead of a bank, put into this Adar tree. Tani Nami, Hachi Sada Sheyesh Ba'Adar, Einan Exelas, a Sada that has a tree of this Adar tree will not get stolen, Veinan Nechmeses, and it will not get Nechmeses means it's also a type of stolen, but it's more like armed robbery. And its fruit gets mishtamrim, which Rashi says, right? Rashi has a couple of first Rashi says he doesn't know what's going on with this. He says, Lo yadayna.
How come there's no school to plant this tree and everyone in the backyard?
Already Naphtali's looking for a schooler for this tree. Yeah. So Yesh Mefarshim, right? Rashi says
it's hard to make a tree out of cloth, that's why.
Yeah. So anyway, so the first Pshat Rashi is that they have you plant it on the boundaries and it has a lot of branches and it makes like a gate. That's one pshat. And Rashi, the other pshat Rashi is that it's some sort of grass. It's expensive, and it mixes with your peiros and it makes it better. Okay, whatever it is. Tani Rav Tachlifa Achud Rav Noi Chazai. Yeah, now on Talmud Aleph we'll go a little bit more. Kol Mazanoiso Shel Adam. Ksuvin loy, this is why it's kedai to end off with this. Kol mezanoiso shel adam ketsuvin loy merosh Hashanah v'ad Yom Kippurim. Whatever money all your food that you're gonna have is katsuv from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur, which there's a girsa issue. Some say it's from Rosh Hashanah till Rosh Hashanah, right? But whatever it is, all your food is paskin. No, meaning for 1 year. They paskin from on Rosh Hashanah. They paskin for what your food is till the next Rosh Hashanah.
So, for what? For the following year or for that year?
For that year. What your food is going to be from Rosh Hashanah till Rosh Hashanah. Correct.
What's the other option? Just what's going to be my income for for 10 days?
No. We're saying that the way the Gemara has it is that meaning we're all Beinanim. If you're a tzaddik, you get paskan on Rosh Hashanah. We all could treat ourselves like Beinanim, so our psak is not until tomorrow, right? Till the end of Yom Kippur. That's what this pshat Gemara is. The other one is saying has nothing to do with Beinanim. It's just that you get paskan on Rosh Hashanah and how much food you're going to have until the next Rosh Hashanah, right? So it says that all your mezainos are paskin chutz me'etzos Shabbos v'etzos Yom Tif v'etzos banav l'talmud Torah, except for whatever you spend on Shabbos and Yom Tif and tuition, right? So I don't know why the yeshivas don't tell this, they don't use this on people. Whatever it is, that money does not come out. Meaning, if it gets paskin on us tomorrow that you're supposed to make $100,000 and you end up spending 10 grand on food for Shabbos and Yom Tif and what, that's not part of the 100,000. Not part of the 100,000.
There's no
right?
gedarim. There's no gedarim for that.
It doesn't say.
You decide to buy a $500 piece of meat. There's no gedarim.
That's
same gedarim as building big buildings and everything else for schools.
English.
Jacob, so where does the money come from?
However, you may whatever. It's hard. You can't.
The shver, Aaron. The shver.
You can't.
The new one.
You can't ever prove it. You can't prove it because how do you know? But the bottom line is, it doesn't come. It doesn't come from there.
We paskin from Gemara. Is this like theoretical?
No, the Gemara we paskin like this. Look in the.
What does the word theoretical mean? Come on.
Yeah, we paskin like this in Hilchos Yom Tif, Siman Tov Yud Tes, right? Okay, you'll have to look it up yourself. Although, 1 second, we paskin for tuition too. Not only that, but if you look at the Ranchberg, where is it? The Ranchberg here in the bottom right says, where is it? And he says it also says Rosh Chodesh, right? The Ranchberg, that aleph with the what do you call it? Says Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, which is also important, especially for Avi. And the Shita Mekubet says, I forgot to look it up. It supposedly says that it means for any mitzvah, you get the money back, right? So, okay, but anyways, if you do less, right, then you're going to get less. And if you're going to spend more, you're going to get more.
So according to this, we shouldn't ask for tuition assistance because we should
It's
just pay tuition.
yes.
No, but
you'll have the money to pay it. You'll have the money to pay it.
Yeah, the shaila is what's considered tuition. You know, your school has track outfits and football this and all that. It's tied in. Mechatesa that counts as tuition.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, whatever. That's all.
Take away credit cards and take away credit, and then play this game, and then see how it works. No borrowing.
Avi,
the Gemara just says you should borrow. What are you talking about?
Right. So you have to understand what that means too, because by Hilchos Shabbos it says don't borrow. It says Asay Shabbos Kachov Al Titzarach LaBrius. Better to make your Shabbos weekday and don't need brius. So it has to mean what the Gemara means to borrow means you have the money, spend it, even though you think you need it for other things, and Hashem will pay that back. But if you mamish don't have the money in the account, then you don't go and borrow in order to go for Shabbos.
Bottom Taisus on our day.
Could a person buy a better piece of meat, and it maybe he's pushing himself, stretching himself? Should he be doing that?
No. The Taisus on the bottom, right? This bottom Taisus says on the previous summit, it's a short Taisus, right? It says, Gemara at the end of Pesachim, you don't have a way to pay it back. So you don't have a way to pay it back, meaning you have access to money, but you have no idea how you're going to pay it back. So then you have to you shouldn't borrow. But if you think you're going to have a way to pay it, so pay it, and then you're worried about your future expenses, that Hashem says, I'll take care of it. Right?
So this means it's don't use reserve, okay? But the bottom line is it also means it's don't use reserve.
Listen, whatever. But you got to believe. That's all. You got to believe.
I think we believe too much in credit cards.
That's yes, credit cards. So if you look in this siman, if you look in the Mishnah Brura, in the Bir Halach, in the end of Hilchos Yom Tov, if you're bored during davening, is the Gishmak of Mishnah Brura. Look up in the Bir Halach at the end of Hilchos Yom Tov. He goes off on spending. He says if you spend what you're not supposed to spend, and it's not on mitzvahs, he says you're causing people to steal and to this, and it's a disaster. It's a disaster. That's he goes off on a musaf bar with this.
You're talking about the wives? That beer halacha?
Yes, that beer halacha with the wives. Yeah. Okay, so let's just do a few more lines. Amar bavo micro. What's the pasuk? Tiku b'chay the shofar. B'kesel yom chagidah. So it says you blow the shofar, and on Chesed is the day of Chag. Ezu Chag she'achodesh mischaseboy. What's the month that the chodesh is hidden, meaning the moon is hidden? That's one shot. Haviyam is a Rosh Hashanah. That's Rosh Hashanah. Ksivki chayk Yisrael hu mishvah Yaakov. It's a chayk Yisrael, and we're going to say, and chayk means food. My mashur the high chayk. Lishna the mezaynu. How do you know that the word chayk is a lashon of food? They gave him the chayk that Pare gave to him, and that was the rations, I guess. Rations, yeah. Feed me the lechem of my chok. Yeah, fine. Okay, so anyways, we'll stop here. And the Olam Shetaka have bizayche to a good year at Gemara and they should have a lot of money for all the treats for Shabbos and Yom Tov, Rosh Chodesh and tuition and everything. All right.
Amen.
Amen. Rabrei for around 9 o'clock. What's the Yom Kippur we have?
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Sviaga, you have 30 seconds?
Call? A call?
Yeah.
I have. We're not. Well, are we recording?
Hey, T.Y., how many more COVIDs did you get since we spoke last?
How many COVIDs?